Will concentration be profitable in Midnight? That is the big question. So I've been playing around on the beta, having a look at the professions. Now we have a few different changes compared to the current expansion. So for materials, instead of having 3 different qualities, we now have 2. So we have a low quality and a high quality. So a high quality now looks like this. We'll have basically a gold star, a gold icon, and then a low quality will have a silver. So that's the difference with the quality of materials, which actually plays a big factor into concentration. After playing around, there's a few things that is going to be different. From the very first day, people will be able to use concentration to get the high quality crafts done. In the War Within, this was not possible. People could not, on the very first day or right away, without learning any skills or getting knowledge points and things like that, they could not be able to use concentration to go from quality 1 all the way to quality 3 because of quality 2 in the middle. But now we only have 2 different qualities. So from the low quality to the high quality, you'll be able to use concentration right away. So this will make it very different compared to the War Within. I think early on, there'll be a crazy amount of gold to be made within the first few months. It will be insane. So I've been playing around on the beta, and 2 professions that really stand out to me, and what I personally will probably lean towards more with my old army, and that's going to be Enchanting for my main one, because this was the best for me in the War Within. It's just very good for the long term. People always need the enchantments, so selling these is super easy. They sell really good, and there was good profit margins using concentration on these in the War Within. So if history repeats itself, it should be pretty good once again. And then also we have Alchemy. So these are my 2 favorites. Now I've played around with them a bit in the beta. So to start off with, let's go over the specialization that I think, by the looks of it in the beta as of right now, that I would most likely be running on my old army for Enchanting. So the first thing that I would probably go ahead and learn is this specialization tree right here. So there's 3 different sorts of recipe enchantments. So we have Thalassian, Amani, and Hamani. So those are the 3 different sorts of formulas. So if you go ahead and we have a look at the recipes, let's go down to, let's say, the chest right here. And now if we hover over, you will actually see what group they're in right here. So this one's Amani, Thalassian, and as you can see where they're from. So they're the crafts that you're going to be affecting based off the specialization. So what I mean by there's 3 different ways you can go. You can either go down this side early on, and this will be for the Thalassian, and then you can go and you can even learn more recipes and also get more skill for this. There's a few other bonuses, but the main difference is what you want to be doing with your old army is most likely just going one way. So early on, you might have, say, 10 ults that go this way, Thalassian. So they all go into here, and then you could have, say, 3 of them go this way, 3 of them this way, and then 4 of them down here to learn different recipes and different crafts. Because what I don't recommend doing is putting, say you have 100 ults, I don't recommend putting them all in the exact same recipes. You're better off having it spread out, even though the BIS lists are going to tell us what recipes are going to be pretty much in the highest demand. Whatever's on the BIS list is going to be high demand. However though, it still is good early on to go into all of the different recipes, which is into these different trees right here. So what I would personally am going to be doing with my old army is I would put 20 this way, 20 this way, and 20 this way, and this way I have them spread out, and I have my enchanters all making different enchants. And this is really good for early on because we don't actually have to spend too many knowledge points. So the first thing that we have here, this is going to give us plus skill. So we have plus skill, more plus skill, more plus skill. So we have plus 10% crafting speed for permanent enchants, which isn't too important, doesn't matter about that, but this is pretty important. We have plus 15 ingenuity, and resourcefulness when crafting permanent enchants. Okay, so the most important thing would be to unlock the recipes. So as you go further into the specialization, you unlock new recipes that you can actually go ahead and use. So what I think we should do is put 5 points in here, and this allows us to unlock one of the sub trees. So let's apply that, and now we can pick which way we want to go. Just for this example, like I said, I'll have alts going every wave for all the different enchantments. But for an example, let's go this way. So let's go Thracian, and let's go ahead and see what we've got here. So we've got plus skill, ingenuity, so plus 5 ingenuity, that's huge. We've got plus 5 skill. We've got plus 15 resourcefulness, that's huge. We've got plus 10 skill. Okay, so this is what we'll do next, is we'll go ahead and we would put points in here. So we could stop here and just put 10 in, or we could go the whole way for the skill and the resourcefulness. At the moment, we could technically go like this, and then we could go ahead and go into which one we really want to focus doing. So for an example, the top one right here, this is weapon, ring, chest, enchantments. Then this one is helmet, shoulders, boots. This one is actually for the enchant to the tools to give deafness. So there's actually one of these in each of the nodes. So we've got deafness here, we have resourcefulness here, and then we also have finesse here. So these are very, very important too. So what we could do is we could pick now one of these to basically mid-max into, and we could do this very early on. So for an example, let's say we want to actually do, let's say we want to do the rings. Let's go ahead and learn this. And let's go ahead and see what we've got right here. So we've got skill, 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 and then this is where it starts to get interesting, especially for the concentration alts. So you get the plus 20 skill, which is huge, but then you also get use 5% concentration when concentrating on the crafts, which of the Thracian, and also is for the weapons, rings, or chest. So this is huge. 5% is huge. This will definitely add up. So what you could do is you can go ahead and then rush this right away. So what would that be from an early rush? That's only 35 knowledge points. So you could rush this super quickly. And you could basically do this little rush thing. You could do this for all the different sorts of all the different recipes. And you can get to the end part. Because like for an example, if you look, they're all are the same. So you go ahead and you get 5% concentration. And obviously you get the skill and everything along the way. So that's what you could do. You could go through and you could rush. Just put 5 points in here. And then 10 points. And then max it out 20 points in whichever craft you want to go into. So that's like could be like the day one thing that you do, and you could do different nodes on each of your different alts, and obviously you could focus the majority of your alts to be on the ones that are on the BIS list and that are going to be the main crafts people are going to be buying. But we don't have proper BIS list yet, so we'll have to wait till we get a bit closer before we can figure out the exact one. Now, once you've put these points in, so that's 35 points, what you could do is you could come back and you could get the extra resourcefulness from here. So we can put another 5 points into there. And then we also have another 10 skill. So we could go ahead and get another 10 skill right there. And then if we go back once again, we've got 5 skill just there, 10 skill. And then we have plus 15 ingenuity and resourcefulness. So this is huge. So then you'd probably go this next. And now like you're looking extremely good for those specific enchants. And you're only, what's that, 40, 30. So you're only 70 points in. And now you're like pretty much mid-max crafting on your concentration ult for each of those specific enchants that you'll be crafting. And then to even mid-max it even more after you've done this, what you could do is you could go into Spellbound Shatter, unlock this bad boy, And now from here, have consume 2% less concentration when concentrating in midnight formulas. This is huge. So we go ahead and learn this. Well, technically we could just learn it even once we're just filling out this, and we'll get that 2% because it's just actually learn it without any points. So we could just do this and we would unlock that. So I'd highly recommend doing that. And then we could also keep on coming up, and it has consume 3% concentration when concentrating on midnight formulas. And if we keep on moving down, we have 5%. And then I think the last two aren't actually useful, so they're not for concentration. So what you'd actually do is you'd go all the way up to here, and then we're getting the benefit of the consume 5% less concentration when concentrating midnight formulas. So we get the extra 5% right there. Let's apply that. And now what we can do right here is, so this is for the illusions. So this one is useful, is useless for us. This one right here. But these two nodes can be useful. So this one is resourcefulness, which is pretty good, but I feel like this one would be even more beneficial. So this is for ingenuity. So if we go ahead and have a look at this, so whenever it procs, that's an extra additional 5% that you're going to get refunded. So this is only refunded 5%, so this is extremely low amount of concentration to get back. But you also get an extra 5% ingenuity by your shatter essence is active, so that's huge. Another 5% when it procs gives you additional 5% ingenuity, an extra 5%, some more ingenuity. So technically what you'd want to do if you really wanted to min-max your character, you'd go all the way and put 30 points in here. This is for the extra ingenuity and bonuses right there. And then you could also get the extra resourcefulness. But this is basically the last thing that you'd want to do. And this is just for a little bit of extra gold on top for really min-maxing. Pretty sure this is what you'd want to do. So now you have that filled out. That's pretty much how I'd have it set up. In that order like that. And this way, how many points are we actually spending right here? So we've got 40, 70, and then 70, 80, 90, 120, 150. So 150 knowledge points to do that. So to even get to this point would be many months into the expansion. So this would give you a good goal to get started with. And pretty much, by the looks of it, is the pretty much the mid-max for your concentration for crafting the all the different enchants. So enchanting looks absolutely amazing for your old army for concentration. It's going to be very, very profitable, and at the early stages probably going to be even more profitable than the War Within, meaning the first few weeks, because of how easy it is to actually set up and start actually crafting the high quality crafts, because you can do it right away. All you gotta do is click this button. You just gotta click on your concentration right away. Doesn't even matter what stats you have. You don't even need tools. You don't need anything. It doesn't matter. You'll be able to get to the max quality craft right away from the get-go, and that's using all quality ones. So you would select quality 1, quality 1, quality 1, and this would be the cheapest possible way to do this craft. And then obviously use your concentration, and buzz, you're good to go. Obviously do this and you're good to go. And then you could do a bunch of crafts and make a bunch of gold. And if we go through, as you can see, obviously there is a bunch of different crafts. And the good thing about these crafts for concentration is that they use a lot of different materials that need different qualities. So where you can get the profit from doing concentration is where some people, even if they can guarantee this at max quality by using the max quality reagents, what you can do with your concentration to really make the gold is use the low quality materials. By using them, they're super cheap compared to the high quality, and then you just make up for it to get to the high quality craft by using your concentration. So that's where the real gold is, and it's good with these because you use so many different materials and a good amount of materials for all of these different crafts. So it's definitely going to be extremely good. I'm excited to make a bunch of gold with concentration, especially with enchanting, because it is going to be absolutely amazing. Another thing that I think will be really good early on will definitely be the tool enchants. Your things like, well, basically all these, they all have their own place in the game that people may want them. And so I reckon these will have a really good profit. And compared to the other crafts, these use 4 different materials that have quality. So they also use the alloys. So you can once again get the alloys at quality 1 instead of using the high quality. And you should be able to craft a whole heap of these with your 1000 concentration. So super looking forward to this. Should be able to make a lot of gold with enchanting. If you would like to level up your gold making and make a bunch of gold in World of Warcraft, then I recommend checking out Goldcap. Goldcap is a community project where all of the best gold makers make gold guides for you, teaching you all of the latest and best methods of making gold in all versions of World of Warcraft. On the website, we have live price data, so you know if an item is worth farming or is not. We have a bunch of different guides on Goldcap, anything from gold making guides to flipping guides for all versions of World of Warcraft. We also have a team of the best gold makers that are there to help you out with any questions that you have about making gold in any versions of World of Warcraft. So make sure you go ahead and join the Discord. If you want to become a member, we have 2 options for the subscription, which is $10 per month or $100 per year. If you go with the yearly option, you save an extra 15%. And on top of that, if you use code Buffy10, you also save an extra 10%. Let's get back to the video. Now moving on to the second profession that I'm super excited about for my concentration old army is definitely going to be Alchemy. So Alchemy has got a bunch of really good crafts coming in midnight. And we've actually got a fair few crafts, as you can see right here. Now, a few different things, well, a brand new thing, we actually have this new craft. And as you can see, it's a 1 out of 1 craft. So it actually is a cooldown craft. I wonder how long this cooldown is actually for. So anyways, this will be very interesting. Now, I'm not sure, and we don't know obviously yet, but how much this will actually be worth, because we could end up using concentration on getting the high quality one of these. As you can see, it has different quality. We can use concentration to do this, and there is a bunch of different materials. It's only 2 of each material, but setting those to low quality, there should be a decent amount of profit, especially if this is a cooldown, like a 1-day cooldown, but we'll have to see and look a bit more into that. But the main thing and the obvious thing that I'm going to be doing with Alchemy, if this thing doesn't have any gold to be made with it, the obvious thing that I'm going to be doing is going to be flasks and vials and potions. So we go ahead and have a look at the specialization. Say for an example, we want to do flasks. Let's go ahead and unlock this. And now we can go ahead and start having a look at the specialization here. Now how this works is we've got files on this side, and basically you've got flasks on this side. So you either go down here for flasks or you go down here for files. So with this, you're going to get plus 5 skill, and then we get, where's something that is interesting, another plus 5 skill right there. And then this, honestly, this flask is, unless, yeah, I don't think it's actually can be sold on the auction house. So as a gold maker, there's no point in getting this, but I need to look into that further. But I think it can't be sold on the auction house. But anyways, so what I would do if I was going to set up flasks on my alt is I would have to go into here. So first of all, we've got to put 10 points into here to unlock the next tree. Is there anything here? We could technically go get the 5 skill right here, but as for now, I probably wouldn't do that. I would rush right away down here. So this is going to give us plus skill for every point that we put in, and this also gives us the nightmare versatility flask by doing this. So we can definitely go ahead and we could unlock that. And then we also get +5 skill when crafting flasks. Another +5 skill when another +5. And then +10. So technically we'd probably want to fill this out right away. Or it gets a bit interesting actually for concentration down in the bottom ones. So we have right here, reduces concentration costs by 5% when crafting flasks. 15% ingenuity. Oh, this is really good for concentration. So another 15% for ingenuity. Another 15 ingenuity, sorry. Another 15. And then reduces concentration cost by 5% for flasks. So this is huge. So this is for flasks. What's the difference here? So this one is for crafting speed, is it? Crafting speed and multi-craft. Kind of important, but not as important as this one. So what you would do is you definitely would want to rush down into there. So this is like first day sort of things is what I would do on my characters. So I want to unlock that right away. Now that I've unlocked that, I want to max this one out. This is where I feel like you would get the most benefit when it comes to your concentration alt army. Maxing this out. So we're only, what's that, 40 points in. Very, very early game, we can get this set up very quickly. And now this would allow us to craft flasks very, very efficiently with our concentration alt army. And then what we could do from here is fill out this. And this is for if we're going with flasks. And then obviously we want to get the multi-craft from this. And this also has another one at the bottom, which has multi-craft yields more flasks. Whoa, that's actually huge too. Multi-craft yields more flasks. So this is definitely huge too. So you're probably wanting something like this. Would be the early game for your flasks. And then I believe there's also some skill that we can get from here. So this gives +1 skill, +5. Let's see what we got. +5, +5, 5, +5, and unlocks sub specialization. So we don't need the last one. So we'd probably we'd get all the plus skill that we can. So it was down to that one. And then we got that plus skill. And then, so this is for transmutes, this is for potions, and then this is for flasks and files. So we would go into here. And then we get +25 resourcefulness by crafting flasks and files. +5 skill. Plus another 25 resource files. +5 skill. And then another 25 resourcefulness. So then you'd go ahead and you'd max this out. So this would be the max goal. This would kind of be the end goal that I'm going to be going for on my alt army for when I'm doing flasks. So I'd fill this out first, and then I'd go ahead and fill this out just like that. So what's that? 10, 40, 80, 100, 125 points to fill this out on each alt. You could definitely do this, but obviously you don't have to go the full way. You got to be making gold either way through the whole half of the midnight with concentration, even if you have your setup not correct. But anyways, that's what I would do if I was going with flasks. And then obviously I'd do the same thing with files, but instead of going down here for flasks, I would do these three and I would max these out, and this would be for files. And then you have potions, and you can go ahead and you can do potions. So you've got your void potions on this side, and then your light potions. It's the same sort of deal. The flasks, it's just instead it has the light potions and the void potions. And if you go ahead and have a look, you've got light potions here, so that's all these ones, and then you got your void potions right here, that's all these. So that's how you would set that up. And obviously then instead of going with flasks and files, you'd go with if you're going potions, you'd go with this one right here, this one right down the bottom. So that's how you would set it up on your concentrated alt armies. And there's a lot of gold to be made, and we'll obviously have to see what the price of this thing is. this cooldown item. I'm not too sure how this will work or if this will be useful, but we might be able to make some extra gold on our characters using this. So obviously, you know my thoughts. Yes, concentration is going to be super profitable in Midnight, and honestly, I think it's going to be more profitable quicker in Midnight than it was in the War Within, because of that one reason that it's so easy to go from low quality to the high quality now that we only have 2 different types of materials instead of having 3 different qualities. So I think early on there's definitely going to be insane amount of gold to be made. So I'd highly recommend everyone watching this, if you really want to make some good gold in the Midnight, then you should definitely be leveling your alt army right now. The more that you have, the better. So get to the remix, get to leveling your alt, get to boosting yourself, or even spend some of your gold that you're sitting on. If you're someone with 100 million gold, you might as well go buy some boost, sit back, watch movies, and get a whole heap of alts that you can then use to make even more gold in Midnight from concentration. I'm going to be doing a bunch of videos about the Midnight, bringing out a bunch of useful guides about professions, gold farms, all of that. So subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the future videos. Until next one, guys, take care. Actually, hold up. Let me know down in the comments what's your thoughts on concentration, and if it's going to be profitable. Let's say actually if it's going to be better in the Midnight than in the War Within. What's your thoughts on that? Let me know down in the comments your thoughts on concentration in Midnight. Till next one, guys, take care.